I made $112,000 last month using a system I call the Brand Suite system, and it's completely changed how I think about content and business. I went from feeling directionless in my disability support job, stuck studying a psychology degree I knew I didn't care about, to traveling the world with my best friend, building a business we actually love. In this video, I'm going to show you a different way to approach your content and your business, one that actually aligns with how you want to live. All it takes is building a personal brand that attracts instead of chases. 6 months ago, I was running a solo personal brand consulting business, making around 10K a month. But even at 10K a month, I felt stuck, working alone, trading my time for money, and hitting a ceiling I couldn't break through. I was teaching people how to build their own lives while feeling so disconnected from my own. I started my business to create a life I actually enjoyed, but I ended up stuck in a routine that felt just as limiting as the life I left. So I made a bold decision to let go of the life-changing business I had built and start again in a way that actually felt right. I was spending 10 hours a day locked in my room, staring at a screen, barely talking to anyone outside of the gym. Every morning, I'd wake up and immediately feel that weight, knowing I had a full day of responding to the same client problems over and over again. I felt completely alone. And at some point, I realized that I had built a life that looked good on paper, but in reality, I felt completely trapped. Here's what I learned. Most people in the space are so focused on metrics, volume, and hitting numbers, but very few people are actually building something that feels authentic and sustainable. Think of it like this. Most people treat content and business like a performance. They're constantly trying to say the right thing, act a certain way, and fit into what they think works. Almost like they're playing different characters just to get a result. But the way I see it, your personal brand and therefore your content should be a mirror. It should reflect who you actually are, how you think, and how you want to live. And when you build it that way, it doesn't just grow an audience. It attracts people who genuinely want to connect with you, not just the version of you you're trying to maintain. So I created the Brand Suite system, built around one core principle: creating content that reflects who you are, what you believe, and how you actually live. Instead of performing to get results, I focus on building a brand that actually reflects how I think and live, highlighting one core message delivered multiple ways. It's like designing experiences for people instead of trying to convince them. The first part of the Brand Suite system is show, don't tell. This matters because most people are trying to tell their audience what to do rather than show them, which means there's no real trust or connection being built. Instead of telling people what you know or what you do, you start showing it through your actions, your decisions, and your processes in real time, so people can actually see your expertise instead of just hear it. Like my client TRI, who grew 15,000 followers and generated his first $7,000 month, not by telling people what he knew, but by showing his journey, showing his process, and how he's applying it in real time. Most people miss this because they're so focused on telling people what they know, instead of showing how they apply it in their own life, so it never really connects. The second part of the Brand Suite system is the Concierge. This matters because showing your journey attracts the right people, but without guiding them, they stay as viewers, missing out on real opportunities. Here's how it works. Instead of creating random pieces of content, you build around one core message and create different ways for people to engage with it, whether that be day-to-day documenting, personal stories, or deeper value breakdowns, so they can actually find the content they want to consume based on where they're at, or deeper value breakdowns, so they can find the content best suited for them. Another example is my client Kayla, who came to me with scattered content and no real direction behind her personal brand. She was posting parts of her life, but there was no real connection for her audience to engage with, or even understand the value she had to provide. So I shifted her from just posting content to structuring it, documenting her journey in tech sales in a way that gave multiple people the chance to engage. This gave the audience the chance to go deeper and connect with her experience. As a result, she grew 15,000 aligned followers and generated $200,000 from her tech sales advisory offer. This is where it all connects. The show don't tell attracts the right viewer, and the Concierge gives a clear view on where to go next. The third and final part of the Brand Suite system is the organic content ecosystem. This matters because without a system, your content relies on constant effort. But with an ecosystem, your content starts to compound and build on itself. Instead of treating every post like a completely separate piece of content, you build a system where each post connects. You take one core idea and turn it into multiple forms. You revisit it from different angles and create layers of content that drive attention and engagement over time. I had a health coach named Colby in the fascia release space come to me with an audience under 1,000, no income, and no structure behind his content. And instead of copying other creators, I shifted him into showing his own processes and way of thinking. Then his content was structured so people could engage with him at different levels and naturally find themselves going deeper into as well. From there, we built it into a full content ecosystem where each piece connected and built upon the last. This has continued to attract him the right audience over time. Within 3 months, Colby grew from 0 to 75,000 followers, as well as scaled his business to $30,000 a month of recurring revenue. And it worked because his content stopped trying to reach everyone. everyone, and instead became a system that converted the exact people he was looking for. And when all three parts come together, documenting your real life, positioning it with intention, and allowing your content to attract instead of force, everything starts to change. You're no longer trying to come up with content. It becomes a natural extension of how you already think and live. You stop chasing clients and instead attract people who are already bought into who you are and what you have to offer. And over time, it all starts to compound. Your content builds trust, your audience becomes more aligned, and your business grows in a way that actually feels sustainable. Here's the thing, the brand suite system isn't more complicated, it's actually simpler. Before, I was posting content with no real structure, just trying different things and hoping something would work. Now, I build around one clear message and turn it into a system where every piece of content has a purpose. When I document what I'm aligned with, it not only attracts attention, but also positions me and creates opportunities without needing to push. Everything improves together. Your content gets clearer, your audience becomes more aligned, and those opportunities start to flood in without you having to fight for them. If you want to build something like this for yourself, it doesn't start by copying a framework. It starts with understanding how you actually see things. So the first step is identifying your core messaging. For example, my core messaging would be to inspire others to live the best life they possibly can through health, business, travel, and friendship. Most people believe they need to copy what's already working, and that if a format or style works for someone else, they should just take it. But that's exactly why their content never really connects, because it's built on someone else's perspective, not their own. And if you think about it, that's just like walking into a hotel and being given a room that doesn't really suit you. It might look good, but it doesn't actually fit. So instead, you need to ask yourself, what do I see differently about this space? What approach do I naturally take that others don't? And what have I actually gone through that shaped who I am today? Because the best content doesn't come from strategy first. It comes from your experience. What worked, what didn't work, what you're still currently figuring out. That's the foundation of show don't tell. You're not trying to sound like an expert. You're just letting people see how you think. Once you have your core message, the next step is turning it into a simple framework, because insight on its own isn't enough. It needs structure. And the easiest way to do it is breaking it up into 3 parts. Number 1, how you express your thinking. This is how your ideas show up in content and how you communicate your experiences, your perspective, and what you're documenting in real time. Number 2 is how people go deeper in your world. This is where you create different ways for people to engage with your content. So depending on where they are, they can still connect and understand. This is done by choosing the right content formats. And number 3 is how everything connects and compounds. This is what turns your content from individual posts to a system, where ideas build on each other, reinforce each other, and work together over time. And when these 3 parts are in place, everything comes together. You're not just creating content anymore, you're building a system. Your ideas are clear, your audience is aligned, and your content creates consistent opportunities without needing to force it. Once you've built your framework, the final step is testing it through real execution. Because a system can work perfectly in theory, but it's nothing without being battle tested. So the goal here isn't to get it perfect, it's to start applying it. You take your core messaging, structure it into components and formats, and begin creating content around it. You see what connects, what feels natural, and what reflects how you think. And as you do that, you refine. You adjust how you express your ideas. You simplify what feels forced, and you double down on what resonates. Over time, your system becomes clearer, stronger, and more aligned with who you are. And eventually, it's something you no longer have to follow. It feels automatic. This is the brand suite system, and this is the way I think about building a personal brand. And I'm still refining this. There are things that work really well, and there are things that I'm constantly improving. But what I've found is this: when you stop trying to copy what's working for other people, and you start building something based on how you actually think, everything becomes a lot simpler. Your content becomes clearer, your audience becomes more aligned, and opportunities start to come from the right people, not just more people. So if you're trying to build something like this for yourself, don't start with some insane strategy. Start with your perspective. Figure out what you actually believe. Build a simple structure around it, and then refine it through action. That's the process. If you want to see me apply this in real time, you can follow along or reach out to me at Reid on Instagram. Thanks for watching.